Oh, Mario, what are you doing?
Welcome to Bad Food Blog, and today we've got something from the fridge, and it is quite yummy. This is a Wiltshire ham gratin. Hold it up in front of my cup of coffee. It is rich in cheese with green beans. It's a Wiltshire cured ham and crunch, mature cheddar crumb. And the first thing is, I've already had a quick look at it, and I'm going to say this now. There's a lot more cheese on the top of there than I'm seeing in here. That's a fingerful of cheese. So I will be adding some cheese to this, but I'm going to cook it. Let's have a look at the packaging, see what we're dealing with here. Okay, obviously this is not very good for you. It's got a lot of sugar, a lot of saturates, a lot of fat. 29 grams of fat, 3 grams of salt. This is half a day's salt. Let's have a look at the percentages here. Wow. Wow, per 100 grams. Well, it's not bad. It's only 7 grams of fat, which is 4 grams saturate. That's actually not bad. It's bad for a food, but it's 74% of your saturated fat intake for a day and 50% of your salt intake. This is a high salt. Now, we're not going to be having half a pack. We're going to be sharing this between 3 of us, so you could knock all these figures down. The trouble is, for poor little Max, these figures are quite high, so he's not going to be getting quite as much of it as you would probably like. And I am going to add a bit of extra cheese to this, but because as you can see by that, there's not much cheese on it. And I don't mind there being not much cheese on it, but I would prefer to be there a little more cheese. So it's going to take 40 minutes to cook in the oven at 180 degrees. So let me just get the oven rolling. And let's get the extra cheese on it. Now, I tend to buy these big blocks of cheese, as you've probably seen on the channel several times, and I'm not really too bothered by particularly the quality of cooking cheese, as I call it. This is cheese you're going to be using for toasted sandwiches, cheese and tomato toasties, and that kind of thing. So I generally tend to go for the Sainsburys own Mary Ann's. It used to be called something else, like value cheese or something, but they decided giving it a name would make it slightly more upmarket. It is, after all, just a giant lump of congealed milk fat. So that's all it is. But I'm not going to need very much. So probably just a few. What I might do to go with this is I will also make some garlic bread to go with this. And that'll be homemade garlic bread using a new product which I've got, which is some frozen garlic, which is pretty cool. It's like this frozen mashy garlic. I think if I mash that up with the clover I've got, that should make some pretty nice garlic bread. And shouldn't be adding too much extra salt. Now there we go. I've been really lazy there and grated it straight from there. Going to put it back in this little... Oh, have I torn the bag? Yep. I've torn the bag. So like 500 of these little bags. Trying to use stuff that doesn't contact the food as much as, say, cling film. Whereas I used to use cling film on all of this, these little biodegradable bags are pretty cool. They don't last long enough to keep your food fresh, but when you put them in the earth, they're going to degrade. So that's a plus. So let's peel off the top of this and add our additional cheese. The reason for the additional cheese is obvious. There is almost no cheese. I've probably spilt almost as much cheese on the side there as there was on this to begin with. Now, I'm only adding a little bit, but I am quadrupling or doubling. I mean, I guess with this meal, with all the cream in it, they were already fighting to get it sort of under fat budget. Otherwise, that Lighthouse thing probably would have had a warning label on it. As you can see, it's quite... Yeah, that makes it look a bit more like you'd expect one of these to look like when you put it in the oven. Because despite what that looks like, that's not going to turn into a lake of cheese. That'll boil down quite nicely, and that's more what I'd expect to see. Let's move my coffee back a bit. I'm not going to add any extra salt to the seasoning, but a little freshly ground black pepper isn't going to go amiss there. There we go. That always smells great. Oh, there's still a little bit of plastic left there. Don't want that tainting the food. There we go. Now I'm just going to wait for the oven to get up to temperature and I'll put it in. I think that's looking quite good. And I will be coming back in about half an hour when this is 10 minutes from done to make the garlic bread. And the garlic bread is going to be made with some really cool garlic, which is this stuff, which we'll talk about when we're doing it, which is chopped garlic. So join me for that in the next part of the video. You join me at the point where we're putting it in the oven. Here we go. Oh. I've made a fatal mistake there. It says to place it on a baking tray. You might not think that's important, but what placing them on a baking tray does is it gives a larger surface area for contact heating, and the aluminium isn't very good at that. So you should always read the instructions. If it says place in a baking tray, you should always do that. Never put it directly into the oven. And the instructions here: remove film and place on a baking tray. Always make sure you check. Placing the baking tray is on the instructions on this one, just there. And you always follow that instruction because it does change the nature and type of cooking that you're going to get. You can get far more convection cooking from the baking tray. A massive surface area is collecting heat from inside the oven. But all of this surface area of the baking tray is going to collect heat and make sure it cooks properly. Okay, onto the garlic bread later. Well, upon reading the instructions, it became clear that I was only supposed to pierce the film, not remove it. So I put a piece of tin foil back on to make sure. And halfway through the cooking process, 20 minutes, I have to remove that. Whoops! So, making the garlic butter for the garlic bread, I've cut myself 4 pieces of bread. Here we are. One of my own breads, very dense one. This one didn't rise very well. I'm not really impressed with this flour. It's not really done a very good job. Now, what I need to do is I'm using this frozen chopped garlic, and it's quite hard to get out. And as you can see, that's not really going to lend itself to making garlic bread, garlic butter. So I'm going to quickly pop that in the microwave for 20 seconds and see how it changes. I'll be back in a sec. Just as I'm microwaving the garlic, the alarm has gone off. I'm just going to quickly remove the foil from the other thing. So bear with me a sec while I just switch this around. Now this is going to be tricky. You should always wear oven gloves for this. Never do as I do. There we go. It's looking pretty fantastic actually. There's cream bubbling up from underneath. The additional cheese is all melted down. It's looking a lot more like the one in the book. Anyway, back to the garlic bread. So I've just finished microwaving the garlic bread after taking the top off. And microwaving the garlic, sorry, the frozen garlic. That's better. It smells now, and it's all soft. No longer dealing with icicles of garlic. Now, I'm going to need quite a bit of clover. I didn't think this tub was going to be enough, which is why I got the second tub out. No, that's not enough. Not nearly enough. Oh, boy, it always smells good. Garlic does. I love that smell. That's going to be enough. There we go. Remember an old show called Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights? I've seen the future. I've tasted the future. It's garlic bread. At the same time, there was quite a few memes around with two women, one called bread and one called garlic bread. If you know the meme, you'll know what I'm talking about. Don't blame me for anything you Google. Rule 34. There we go. We now have garlic butter. And the garlic will be infused into the butter almost immediately because garlic is so strong and butter is fairly easy medium. That's like 1 tablespoon of chopped garlic, which is about a clove. Right, this chopped garlic goes back in the freezer where it belongs. And this stuff here is going to be liberally applied to this bread. So let's get on with that. And then, to hurry up, because I want this to be in the oven for 15 minutes. At 180, that should reduce it down, crisp up the bread, melt the garlic in, toast everything off nicely. Whoops. Yeah, the garlic's got all the way through the butter already. Even in just those few seconds of exposure, just surface exposure, the garlic is so potent and so strong that during the heating process, the bread will take on a lot of the flavor of the garlic immediately. This honks really bad already. So let's get that over into the oven. Here we go. This one's simple enough. Straight on the top tray. Whole thing needs 15 more minutes and is smelling wonderful. And we will return in 15 minutes. Let's see what it looks and tastes like. Here we are, and it's ready. And it looks great. Wow. Look at that. Let's get it over there on the side. Start with a close-up. Wow, that looks much more like the picture after adding all that additional cheese. Look, there's the picture. There's what I've created. Oh, sorry. And as you can see, it looks a lot more like the picture now that I've sorted it out. So that's fantastic. Let's get it served up. And just while we're here, let me show you what the garlic breads come out like. Here it is. It's lightly toasted, and let's try a piece of one of them quickly. Nice and crunchy, soft in the middle, garlicky, buttery flavor. Perfect. Now, serving this up. It's not cold enough to hold. Do as I say, not as I do. Your skin might not be as tough as mine. Oh, yeah, that's cooled down as well now. Alright, so let's put the garlic bread on everybody's plate. And the two on mine. There we go. Now, how are we going to serve this? I'm thinking the shovel, which is what I call this spoon, because it looks like a shovel. And I think I'm going to sort of divide it into 3, kind of that way and that way, because trying to do 3 across isn't really going to work. So I'll go for like a third of it this way. And this will be Max's one. This is going to be the smallest, probably. Oh. Ooh, there's a lot of ham there. I didn't realise there was so much ham underneath. Have you seen that massive portion of ham there? Look at that. Wow. There's some lovely new run of beans in there. And there's some sauce to go on top of the ham. Wow, that looks amazing. The only thing left to do now is to get him his knife and fork. And chop that garlic bread up for him. Might actually give him the smaller piece of garlic bread. Not entirely sure if he's going to like it. And this one's a bit thicker, so it's a bit softer. There we go. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Look at that. Wow. Okay, Max, your food's ready. I will hand this off to my assistant. I just got sworn at. And now let's get my wife's ready. This is going to be half of what remains. I thought going across like that, if there was a big piece of ham in the bottom, was probably a bad idea. And that appears to be correct. So there's another big piece of ham under there. Oh wow. Ooh, it smells so nice. It's got a really creamy flavour in the smell, and that flavour appears to also include the sort of smell of the beans that are cooked into it as well. It does look extremely yummy. So there we go. Now the last one, which I will be trying on camera. As I've had complaints in the past, I must try all the food I cook on film. But I definitely think opening this one up and adding a bit of extra cheese really has sort of finished this one off, because I don't know about you, but I don't think the amount of cheese they had on that to begin with was really where this one was at. Also, considering this is for 3 people, definitely get yourself a side of some description. I was hoping it had more vegetables in it, but our son Max is going to eat all the vegetables we've given him, otherwise no ice cream. And I'm off to eat this now. So let's give it a little taste. First the sauce. Nice bit of ham in that. Wow. Extremely cheesy. Extremely creamy. Let's try some of the potato. The potato is firm but not undercooked. And let's get some of the beans. There we go. Some of the beans. Broad beans. Nice. Well, there you have it. It is pretty yummy. And I gotta say, I really like it. Amazing. Right, thanks for watching. Please rate, comment and subscribe. And if you could share the video, and let's take a line from somebody else's. If you could hip thrust that like button, that would be great.